London, March 16th, 2004, 11:47 p.m. A man is sitting in handcuffs inside the most famous casino in England. He has just won £1.3 million in 2 nights at Roulette. The police have searched him twice. They've checked his clothes, his shoes, his watch, his skin. They found nothing. No device, no technology, no trick that anyone can identify. And yet, this man just did the one thing that is mathematically impossible. He beat the house, consistently, deliberately, on purpose, which means one of 2 things. Either the laws of probability broke down inside the Ritz Casino on 2 consecutive nights, or this man figured out something that casinos have spent 100 years making sure you never figure out. His name is Nikola Tesla, Croatian, mid-30s, quiet in the way that careful people are quiet, not shy, not nervous, just economical. The kind of man you'd forget the moment he left a room, which, as it turned out, was exactly the point. Over the past 2 nights, he walked into this casino and won £1.3 million playing roulette. Not over months, not over years. 2 nights. Casino management noticed immediately. Nobody wins that much at roulette. The house always wins. Not sometimes, not usually, always. And the math behind that guarantee doesn't bend for anyone. But Tesla kept winning. Spin after spin, night after night. So they called the police. The officers searched him, patted down his clothes, checked his pockets, his shoes. They were looking for a device, laser scanners that measure wheel speed, miniaturized computers, hidden cameras, a transmitter of some kind, anything electronic. Anything that could explain what just happened. They found nothing. No devices, no electronics, no equipment, just a man, his clothes, and £1.3 million in casino chips. The police were confused. Casino management was furious. And somewhere in a back office, a very expensive legal team was already making calls. Here's what you need to understand about casinos. They are not entertainment businesses. They are mathematics businesses. Every game, every table, every spin of every wheel is engineered so that over time, with enough bets, the casino's profit is guaranteed. It's not luck, it's physics applied against you. And when someone breaks that even legally, they don't shake your hand and send you home. They arrest you, they accuse you. They spend 9 months and every resource they have trying to take back what you won. That's exactly what was happening to Nikola Tesla. But here's what no one in that back office could explain. How? That's what we're going to break down right now. Exactly what Tesla did. How he legally won £1.3 million from one of the most secure casinos on Earth. And whether he walked out of police custody rich or walked out with nothing. Start from the beginning. Nikola Tesla didn't walk into the Ritz Casino by accident. He walked in at the end of a years-long experiment, and the Ritz was the final test. He was not a professional gambler. He was something more dangerous, a man with a question he couldn't let go of. Is roulette actually random? Not philosophically, literally, because roulette is not magic. It is a wheel, a ball, friction, gravity, air resistance, angular momentum. These are physical forces, and physical forces follow laws, predictable, calculable, repeatable laws. Laws that apply inside a casino exactly the same as they apply everywhere else. The Ritz's marble floors and £500 minimum bets have no effect on physics. Tesla started reading. Not gambling strategy books, physics papers, casino engineering studies, academic research on ball trajectory and wheel mechanics. And buried in that research, he found something that confirmed everything he suspected. In the 1970s, a group of scientists had already proven it was possible. They built a computer small enough to hide in a shoe and used it to predict roulette outcomes in real time at Las Vegas casinos. It worked. They won money. They stopped only because carrying hidden electronics into a casino is a crime. Tesla read that account and thought, what if you didn't need a device? What if the computer was your own brain? Here's the detail that everyone misses when they hear this story. The goal was never to predict the exact number. That would be impossible, even with a computer. The goal was far more achievable and far more profitable. Croupiers, the dealers who manage the roulette wheel, are human beings. And human beings are creatures of habit. Many croupiers spin the wheel at nearly identical rotational speeds, shift after shift, hour after hour. Many of them launch the ball with a similar force almost every time. It becomes unconscious, automatic. And if you can measure those variables, the wheel's rotation rate, the ball's launch velocity, the specific moment when friction begins to pull it down, you can predict not the exact pocket, but a zone, a cluster of 6 to 8 neighboring numbers on the physical wheel. Bet all 6. Your odds don't just improve, they transform. The house's 2.7% mathematical edge inverts into a player advantage of over 15%. And 15%, sustained over enough spins, doesn't just mean winning more often. Over time, it mathematically guarantees profit. The house wins because the math belongs to them. Tossa was stealing the math back. He bought a second-hand roulette wheel, set it up in his apartment, spent months alone with it evenings, late nights spinning, watching, timing, training his eyes to read ball deceleration the way a musician trains an ear for pitch. He filled notebooks with data, built a feel for it that lived not in his head, but in his hands, his eyes, his reaction time. He tested it at smaller casinos first, local gambling houses, low-stakes tables, rooms where a loss meant nothing. He didn't win every spin. He didn't need to. He won enough, consistently enough, that the numbers accumulated. The pattern held under real-world conditions. By early 2004, Nikola Tossa had a single conclusion. His method was real. His edge was real. And it was time to find out what it could do against a casino that played for serious money. The Ritz Casino, one of the most famous gambling establishments on Earth. Professional croupiers, state-of-the-art surveillance, security teams who had seen every scam, every hustle, every trick anyone had ever tried. Before we get to the first bet, understand exactly what's at stake if Tossa's calculations are even slightly wrong. At the Ritz's table limits, a miscalculation doesn't just cost him a few £100s, it costs him everything he came with. And if the surveillance team decides he's acting suspicious without winning, they call the police anyway. There is no scenario where Tossa walks away neutral. He either walks out rich, or he walks out in handcuffs with nothing. That's the bet he was actually making. He believed in his system. He'd spent years on it. Now he was going to find out the truth. March 15th, 2004. Evening. 3 men walk through the entrance of the Ritz Casino. Nikola Tossa and 2 associates, men whose names have never been made public, whose relationship to Tossa has never been confirmed, and who would prove themselves, over the next 2 nights, to be extraordinarily disciplined. All 3 are dressed well. Not flashy, not ostentatious, just 3 men who look like they belong in this room, among these people, at these tables. The Ritz is busy. Wealthy players at the card tables, slot machines flashing, champagne on silver trays, moving between stations. Money visible, audible, present, changing hands in every direction. Tossa doesn't head for the bar. He doesn't take a seat. He moves directly to the roulette section, stands back from the nearest table, and watches. He's not watching the ball. Not yet. He's watching the croupiers. The way they set the wheel. The rhythm of their arm as they launch the ball. The angle. The force. He's auditing them, looking for the one whose habits are most consistent, most predictable, most readable. Looking for his table. After several minutes, he finds it. Table 7. The croupier is middle-aged, professional, experienced. Experienced enough that his movements have become routine. His spins look metronomic, reliable. This is what Tossa came for. He approaches, takes a seat. His 2 associates position themselves nearby, not at the same table, spread out, relaxed, visible without being conspicuous. The croupier announces, "Place your bets." Players around the table move their chips. Red, black, odd, even everyone betting on instinct, on superstition, on hope. Tossa doesn't move. He watches. Spin 1. Ball launched counterclockwise, wheel turning clockwise. The ball circles the rim fast, then decelerating, pulled by friction toward the numbered pockets. It bounces, rattles, settles. Number 12. Red. Tossa watches. Does not bet. Spin 2. Same croupier. Same motion. Tossa's eyes track the ball's velocity, the wheel's rotation rate. He's not writing anything. He's calculating, storing. Spin 3. Still watching. Fourth spin. Tossa places his first bet, not on a single number, on a cluster. 6 chips placed on 6 numbers. 17, 20, 25, 27, 32, 34. All physically adjacent to one another on the actual wheel, not on the betting layout, on the wheel itself. This is the distinction that defines everything Tossa is doing. Most players think about roulette in terms of the felt table layout in front of them. Red or black, odd or even, rows and columns. Tossa is thinking in 3 dimensions, about where the ball will land geographically on a spinning disc. He's betting physics, not aesthetics. The croupier spins. The ball moves. Tossa watches eyes tracking velocity, timing the deceleration. The ball slows, drops, bounces between pockets, settles 32, red, one of Tossa's numbers. The croupier pushes chips toward him. 6-1 payout. Tossa collects them in one smooth motion. No reaction on his face. No hesitation. Just stacks the chips and looks at the wheel again. Other players notice. Nice hit. Lucky guess. They go back to their own bets. Place your bets. Tossa bets again. Different cluster, this time adjusted. The croupier's spin was fractionally faster on that last rotation. Tossa shifts his predicted landing zone accordingly. Different 6 numbers, all adjacent on the wheel. The ball lands. Another hit. Then another. This continues for 2 hours. Not every spin lands in his cluster. No system is perfect, and Tossa knows this. He loses individual bets. He adjusts his cluster after each loss, recalibrating based on new data. But the wins are coming more frequently than they should. Far more frequently. The mathematics are visible to anyone watching closely enough. By the time Tossa stands up to leave, he has won approximately £100,000 in one evening at Roulette. The casino has noticed. Of course they've noticed. A pit boss spent the final 40 minutes of the session standing 8 feet from table 7, watching every chip, every bet, every spin result. Before Tossa left, a second camera had been manually repositioned toward his seat. They were building a file. Night 1 ends at 1:14 a.m. Tossa cashes out quietly. He and his associates leave the Ritz separately, 90 seconds apart, and meet 4 blocks away on a side street near a closed newsstand. They don't speak loudly. They don't celebrate. In a hotel room in central London, Tossa spreads the converted cash across the bed. Just under £100,000. He sits on the edge of the mattress and looks at it. Anyone rational would stop here. A rational man would look at £100,000 in one evening and recognize that as a perfect outcome, enough to vanish on. The casino had noticed him. He saw it in the posture of the pit boss, in the repositioned camera. They were building a case. Going back was not the safe choice. But here's the thing about a system that works. It doesn't let you sleep cleanly. It whispers. The math hasn't changed. The edge is still there. The same croupier is on shift tomorrow. And £100,000, while extraordinary, was not the number Tossa had spent years calculating toward in that apartment, alone, at midnight, with a second-hand roulette wheel and handwritten notebooks full of velocity data. He made his decision before 2 a.m. He was going back. March 16, 2004. Evening. Same entrance, same casino, same 3 men, dressed the same way. But tonight, the posture is different, not more confident. Exactly, more committed. The difference between a man testing a theory and a man executing a conclusion. Tossa finds his table. The same croupier is working the same station. He sits down. His associates take positions at separate tables nearby, running the same sector targeting system on different wheels, adding their winnings to the total. Place your bets. The croupier spins. Tossa watches, calculates, places his bet. The ball lands. Hit. Next spin. Adjusted calculation. Another hit. Third spin. Another win. Something is different tonight. The method is working faster, more precisely. Possibly the same croupier. Possibly a subtle bias in the wheel itself. Possibly just the accumulation of Tossa's calibration data sharpening his predictions. Whatever the reason, the chips are stacking up faster than last night. 1 hour in, £200,000. 2 hours, £400,000. The pit boss is now standing 3 feet from Tosa's chair. Arms folded, not talking, just watching. Security personnel have taken positions at the corners of the table. The cameras above are zoomed in tight, recording every chip placement, every hand movement, every bet. The other players at the table have quietly stopped betting. They're just watching Tosa, watching him win. Spin after spin after spin. 3 hours in, 800,000 pounds. In a back office somewhere above the casino floor, management is watching live security feeds and reviewing footage from the previous night simultaneously. They're looking for the device, the transmitter, the signal, the camera, something. A man doesn't win 800,000 pounds at roulette in one evening by being lucky. Luck doesn't have a pattern, and Tosa's bets have a pattern. The clusters, the way they shift, the deliberate, methodical adjustment after each spin. They can't find the device, because there is no device. 4 hours in, 1.2 pounds million. Combined with the previous night's 100,000 pounds, Tosa's operation has now reached 1.3 pounds million total. He knows he should stop. This is enough. This is more than enough. He can feel the surveillance closing in the pit boss. Hasn't moved in an hour, and there are now 4 security personnel visible from where he's sitting. He knows the clock is running, but the system is still working. The croupier's rhythm hasn't changed. The math is still in his favor. 1 more hour, just 1 more round. He places another bet. 6 numbers. The wheel spins. The ball drops. Hit. Behind him, the pit boss leans down and speaks quietly to the croupier. The croupier nods. A floor supervisor appears, has a brief conversation with the pit boss, and disappears. He's making a phone call. Tosa doesn't notice. He's looking at the wheel, calculating the next spin. He places his chips. He's about to bet again when footsteps. Multiple sets of footsteps, moving fast and deliberate in a way that has nothing to do with the soft rhythms of casino floor traffic. Tosa doesn't look up immediately. His eyes are still on the wheel. But the footsteps stop directly behind his chair. He turns. 3 men in suits. Not casino security. The posture is wrong for casino security. Too squared. Too certain. Metropolitan Police. Sir, we need you to come with us. Tosa's face doesn't change. He looks at the officers with the same calm expression he's worn for the past 4 hours. What's this about? Suspicion of using electronic devices to cheat at gambling. You're under arrest. The casino erupts not loudly, but the kind of charged silence that is louder than noise. Players standing. Phones appearing. Security closing in from multiple directions. At the 2 other tables where Tosa's associates have been playing, police officers are making simultaneous arrests. All 3 men, at the same moment. The officers search Tosa immediately. Pat down. Pockets. Shoes. Watch. Nothing. They do the same to his associates. Nothing. No devices. No technology. Just 3 men and 1.3 pounds million in casino chips. You're coming to the station. Tosa sets down the chips he's holding. Stands, turns. Places both hands behind his back without being told. The cuffs click into place. He doesn't look at the chips on the table. He doesn't look at the pit boss. He walks straight ahead as they escort him through the casino floor, past the card tables, past the champagne, past the people with their phones raised now, recording. The man who beat the Ritz, in handcuffs, moving toward the exit. And here is where the story enters territory that most people don't know about. Because beating a casino at the tables is one thing. What happens in the 9 months after the handcuffs go on, that's a different game entirely. And Tosa was about to find out whether he'd prepared for it. 4 a.m. Metropolitan Police Station, London. Under fluorescent lights, in a room that smells like floor wax and old coffee, Nikola Tosa sits and waits while forensic technicians dismantle his life, component by component. His phone, removed from its case, battery extracted, SIM card lifted, circuit board separated and examined under magnification. Technicians look for modifications, additional chips, hidden transmitters, custom firmware, anything that shouldn't be there. It's a standard mobile phone, no alterations. His watch, unscrewed and laid out in pieces on a sterile tray. Same process. Looking for a miniature computer disguised as a timepiece. Just a watch, ordinary mechanical parts. His clothes, scanned. seam by seam. His shoes, disassembled. His belt buckle, tested for signal-emitting components. His body, X-rayed. Not just his possessions, him. Looking for a surgically implanted microchip, a receiver, anything that would explain how one man beat a designed-to-be unbeatable system for £1.3 million over 2 nights. Nothing. In 2 separate rooms, the same process is happening to Tassa's associates. Both men are silent. Both request lawyers immediately. Neither answers a single question. Their names were never released to the public. Police records listed them, but the media never learned their identities. No one published their nationalities, their professions, their relationship to Tassa, or what became of them afterward. They remain, to this day, completely anonymous. 2 people who helped execute one of the most audacious casino wins in recorded history, and then vanished as if they had never existed. The investigation ran for 9 months. Forensic teams, technology consultants, gambling fraud specialists, and casino security experts brought in specifically to review the surveillance footage and explain what they were looking at. Hotel rooms searched, digital records subpoenaed, every seized item analyzed multiple times by multiple independent specialists. The Crown Prosecution Service reviewed the case, consulted with legal experts, looked for any statute, any clause in any interpretation of UK gambling law that could support charges. The writs pushed hard. They had resources, relationships, and a very strong financial motivation to see Tassa prosecuted. They knew he had used a system. They knew it wasn't luck. They wanted the money back, and they wanted him charged. But the law doesn't care about systems. It cares about devices. It cares about fraud. It cares about specific, demonstrable violations of specific written statutes. And every single examination came back the same way. Clean. No electronic equipment. No cheating devices. No violation of the Gambling Act. A man had watched a roulette wheel, performed calculations in his head, and bet on sectors. That was the entirety of what had happened. And there was no law in England that made being very, very good at applied physics a criminal offense. The police were stuck with a question that their legal framework had no answer for. Can you arrest someone for being too observant, too mathematical, too right? December 2004, 9 months after the arrest, the Crown Prosecution Service made its announcement. All charges against Nicola Tassa and his 2 associates were being dropped. No trial, no prosecution, case closed. The reason? No evidence of illegal activity. None. After 9 months, after every resource available to the Metropolitan Police and the Crown's legal team had been applied to this case, there was nothing to prosecute. The Ritz Casino had no legal recourse. Their money was not coming back. The police returned everything they had seized: the phones, the wallets, the belongings, and the £1.3 million in winnings. The Ritz refurbished its roulette tables in the months that followed. The casino industry, quietly and without press releases, updated its internal procedures for identifying what specialists now call sector, targeting the technique Tassa had used. Croupiers were trained to vary their spin speeds deliberately. New protocols were put in place to monitor for cluster betting patterns. The game changed, not because of any law, because one man made the casinos understand that the edge they had built their entire business model on was not as absolute as they had always believed. Nicola Tassa walked out of Scotland Yard on a Tuesday morning with a clean criminal record and £1.3 million. He was not photographed leaving. He gave no interviews. He made no statements. He disappeared from public record as quietly as he had entered the Ritz 2 nights in a row 12 months earlier. Nobody knows what he did with the money. Nobody knows where he is. The 2 associates walked out with their share of the winnings. Their names remain unknown. The Ritz is still open. The chandeliers still shine. The croupiers still spin. But somewhere in their procedural rulebooks, in the instructions given to every new dealer hired to manage those tables, there is a ghost of Nicola Tassa, a set of rules written specifically because of what he did and how completely it worked. He proved something that no casino wanted proven. Roulette is not random. It is physics. And physics, unlike luck, can be understood. Which brings us to the only question in this story that was never answered publicly. Tassa had £1.2 million on night 2 when he knew the surveillance was tightening. He knew the pit boss hadn't moved in an hour. He knew the cameras were repositioned. He knew the window was closing. He had more than he came for, and he placed one more bet. So the question isn't whether the system worked. The system worked. The question is the one that no amount of investigation, no court proceeding, no legal analysis ever touched. When you have a method that wins, and you know it wins, and you're already holding more money than you planned to take, what makes you stay for one more spin? Tassa never answered that. Maybe he didn't need to. Maybe the rest of us already know.